Well, this is it. Look at that guy on the right. That is, let me get it tight on him. That is Sam Bradford, former learn from people who lived it contestant. Is that what we call them? Contestants?
Yeah, I think so.
Was coming on the podcast like being on a game show?
Yeah, I got a prize. I got to hang out with some famous people. That's great.
So good. So good. Well, listen, guys, welcome to 4th of July week here on our podcast. Sam and I have been working on a really cool project together, and we were kind of in the middle of brainstorming, and is typical for our brains. We went off on a mad tangent, and I was like, hey, why don't we just record an episode to learn from people who lived it really quick? And you were down, and we found a topic that we want to discuss today. So we'll jump into all of that in a couple of moments. But how are you, man? How are things? You've just left a big job. You're starting a new adventure. Like, hit me with your truth, man. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting. There's so much on the horizon that's like just exciting and new. And then at the same time, there's these voices that I remember talking about with you on the podcast that show back up, right? Those voices that you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're never going to figure this out. Why would people want to work with you? And so it's these two things happening simultaneously, and learning how to listen to the right voices, how to lean on the right friends, how to find the right support, and just continue to, like you said it earlier, just take one step in front of the other and just keep moving forward. That these two shall pass. These things will pass, these feelings, this excitement, and also this fear.
There you go, man. Well said. Well, you're going to get through it just like everybody else does. And, as I tell you privately, and I'll tell you on the podcast, just the less you can be focused on what the end looks like, and just get into this process, and just know that exactly what you just said is the truth. You're just putting one foot in front of the other. This is all part of a journey. You're going to be in good shape. Well, listen, I want to jump into our podcast. It is the 4th of July week. And you and I were talking, and we were like, all right, it's Independence Day. It's Independence Week right here in America, right? And it's so much more than fireworks, parades, barbecues, carnivals, fairs, picnics, concerts, baseball games, family reunions, political speeches. It's so much more than that. At its core, to be independent means to be free from outside control, to not depend on another's authority, to not belong to or be supported by a political party, not depending on another for livelihood or subsistence. And that's the one that hit you and I. It's like, that's what we should talk about today. How can we all do a better job of being independent and not relying on everybody else to set up the way that we feel? To not depend on other people for our own livelihood and subsistence. Like, we can create that for ourselves. And I love that we're going to jump into this right now, Sam, because very much so, this is what you're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
This is the thing. You mentioned those voices. The voices are that dependence on other people's appreciation, approval, attaboys, call it what you want, man. But how do you find that for yourself? So let's kick this around a little bit. So as I serve up those definitions, what pieces hit you?
All of them. I mean, that's the hard truth, is that the approval, the attaboys, the hey, you're doing a good job, or I connect with you on these things, are all things that I'm looking for. And the hard part is that when I'm dependent on those things, when I get them, I feel better than I really am. And when I don't get them, I feel worse than I really am. And really, I'm at the throes of whoever I interact with that day. Do you think I'm great? Do you like me? Then I'm really great and I love myself. Do you not think I'm great? Do you not like me? Then I'm an idiot and I should just run away. And so these things are just real. And so when we were talking about it earlier, I love it. The idea of independence, and not just from a nation and not just from these other things, but independence from just the things that I think I need from other people.
Right.
And how do I be free of those things and learn that I have power and control over the things that I go through and that I feel.
Yeah, I almost wish that we had Dr. Frank Bavacqua or
Mm,
Dr. David Lycan with us, because I would love to talk about codependency. I would love to talk about
mm,
why, it is the way it is. And I think I've done enough of these podcasts. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I just came back from Hartford, Connecticut, where I went out to visit my friend. And on the way back, I was kind of thinking, I've interviewed hundreds of people and talked to every one of these people about the worst moments of their life,
mm,
and talked about the impact that that had on their teenage years, their 20s or 30s, their 40s or 50s, their 60s. Like, I've interviewed people that are in their freaking 70s and are still dealing with it.
mm,
It's still showing up for them. And so at the end of the day, I blame a faulty operating system. That's it for me.
mm,
And I challenge you, and I challenge me, and I challenge everybody listening to really take a close look at that operating system and figure out what parts of it are working for you and what parts aren't, and then go to work on those things.
mm,
Um, I might have even said to you this morning when you and I were talking, it was like, well, then if your life kind of feels crappy, just do something different today than you did yesterday.
mm. That's it. I mean, it's just simple things, right? And I think that so many times you guys said it, you and Chris on I needed that. But sometimes when you're standing at the base of the mountain and you're looking at the summit, it's overwhelming. It's like,
Mhm.
how in the world are we going to get up there? And you guys so eloquently put it, of just one foot in front of the other. You focus on small goals that lead to a small win, and those small wins start to accumulate, and you start to really build this momentum of like, hey, I can do these hard things one piece at a time. It's not a matter of tackling the whole thing at once. And I've absolutely been there on many backpacking trips where I thought, there's no way I'm going to make it. There's no way. And it was just that keep putting one foot in front of the other, and eventually we get there. And I'm astounded that we made it.
Yeah. Well, and just so you know, like, I'm feeling a lot of the same things you're feeling right now. I mean, this is part of the process of blowing up what you built. And,
Mm,
I've been having a lot of thoughts over the last probably 3 or 4 months, just about like, why did you walk away from that very successful career you had? Like, why did you, and then examining that more and trying to figure out, did you walk away for the right reasons? Was there a way to hold on to that? Or was there a way to pivot? Did you need to walk away from it as harsh as you did, as cold
mm,
as you did?
mm,
All of those things. And I kind of land on yes. I
mhm,
think in my case and in my point in my time, I didn't have a choice, but it doesn't mean that it's made this thing easier. In fact, it's been really, really challenging. I was telling Sam earlier that, I used to be the guy I took care of everything. Like, people that, like, we made decent money, and it was like, if we go out to eat, I'm going to take care of it. If we're going to go do this, I'll take care of it. And I loved that, especially growing
mm,
up without any money, like we grew up, and it's a nice feeling to be able to do that for other people. And now I kind of need to sit back and let that happen for myself. And I
mm,
haven't pulled out my credit card and offered to pay for a lunch in a while, and that stings a little bit. That stings my pride a
mm,
little. It hits my self-worth a little bit. It hits my value a little bit. And I too, Sam, similar to you, went from a job where every day there was praise, every day there was somebody saying something great or complimentary or whatever you want to call it. And now there's weeks that go by without anybody giving a shit. And that's real. But and it's not to say that, like, I need it to be perfect, but it's a hurdle to overcome. You realize how much that puffiness from other
mm,
people, to go back
mm.
to our independence conversation, you
Yeah.
realize how much you were relying on what other people were saying to you to
Mm,
dictate how you feel about yourself.
mhm. Yeah, that's gold right there. Um, and man, when we can be aware of it, we can have independence. We can have that freedom that comes with independence. Of I don't need you to like me. I don't need you to want me. I don't need you to have thoughts, like good thoughts about me. If you do, that's cool. And if you
Right.
don't, that's cool too. But man, when we're attached to that and we're just needing that, we give people power over us. We give people power to allow us, like we let people make decisions for us and we let them kind of control the situation. And it's just not healthy. And man, just recognizing it, I think that's the beauty of the journey, Matthew, is that me and you wouldn't be here now if we were still in our old roles, and we wouldn't be experiencing this pain of this new thing that arose, of needing that, and knowing, not even being aware of it, but now that we're really aware of it, it's like, okay, how do we grow through this, and how do we heal through this, so that we don't just continue to be older and still needing it, and older and still needing it, because like you said, there's people in their 70s that are still doing these things, and it's like, you're not just going to heal, you're not just going to get better. It comes through intentional action. And so
Yes.
how are we taking those steps?
Yeah, that's such great. Well, what you just said is gold too, man. It
Mhm.
boils down to what Dr. Dave and Frank and every other psychologist will tell you is that eventually you just got to go right through that thing. And that's the end of the story. You just got to go right through it. And then there's this other piece that I'm starting to get better at trusting. Talk about how you feel about the statement of I let go. I trust that where I'm at right now is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I don't love it. It's hard. It's not as easy as the way it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but I let go. I mean, I trust the process of life. I have these mala beads that I carry with me everywhere I go. And when you see me running my mala beads, if I'm around you ever and I'm doing this, I am in my head going, I let go and I trust the process of life, because my mind is starting to say some bullshit to me that
Mhm.
I do not need to hear in that moment. And I need to let go. And the beads help me kind of let go. They help me, they remind me. And that gets to one of the things that we could talk about next, which is tools. I mean, literally, it's the way to intentionally move through it and to change your operating system is to use the tools that you've learned.
Mhm.
And I'm really, really, really good at, as are many other people, telling everybody else what they should do. I've got real clarity on that. And damned if I don't do a shitty job of putting that same stuff into my life
Mhm.
before. Now I'm doing a much different and better job of that. Tell me how you feel about that statement.
I mean, I feel like you're reading out of my diary, you know? I feel I could coach so many people on all these things and give them just clarity and just amazing stuff. Um, and then when it comes to myself, I don't know how to take care of myself. I stress about things. I overthink things. I overcomplicate things that are pretty simple.
Mhm.
And I don't know how to make time for myself, and that's tough. Um, yeah, just using the tools and just keeping it simple, not overcomplicating. But yeah, I just Matthew, that's it 100%. And I want that so bad for myself, and I want that so bad for my family. And just realizing that, like, I can spend my whole life helping everybody around me, but if I don't spend time working on myself, then I won't be a blessing to my friends. I
Mm.
won't be a blessing to my family, and I won't be a blessing to myself. And so I need to take that time, and that uncomfortable. When you were saying it, like that letting go, there's this part of me that feels peace, and then there's another part of me that feels tension. It's like the peace is like, oh, I don't have to be responsible for all of it. And then the tension is like, but wait a second, you can't just let go. Like, if you let go, then is your family going to eat? Like, are you going to pay your bills? Like,
Mhm.
there's just this dual tension there. There's this piece of like, oh, thank God I don't have to feel responsible for the whole world. But then also at that same time, part of me is like, no, dude, you got to figure this out. And so that's where I'm sitting.
Yeah, well, and when we should say figure this out again, right? The good news is that you've done an
Mm,
awful lot of work, Sam, as have I. We've
mm,
both we've both improved our outlook and our perspective and
Yeah.
our inner selves exponentially, and have gone through so much and have
Mhm.
overcome so many things. And it's actually one of the reasons that we've come together for a new project. And if you're watching the video version of this, I'm just going to throw up a couple of slides, because Sam and I have come together to do what both of us do the best
Mhm.
and do it together. And so we've come up with Bradford and Blades. It's a consultancy where we would love to help other small businesses level up their leadership and prevent burnout. And so this is a little bit of the slide. You know, we encourage folks, and we're happy to email this to anybody that wants to see it, but we send you this, you check the boxes. If you check more than 2, you need us. We've worked with a lot of great people along the way. This is a little bit about who we are and what we do. It's too small on the screen for people to read, but I'll tell you what, if you want, I'm going to throw up a QR code right now. If you just want to take a picture of that, and that'll take you right to that flyer you just saw, and we can get started and have that conversation about what's right for you guys and what you need to do next. But Sam, I know you got to run and go to another meeting. That's cool. Have a great day, and a super happy 4th of July week. And I appreciate you being on, pal.
Hey, thank you so much, Matthew. And just for everybody listening, leadership's tough, man. It's lonely, it's hard. And that's something that me and Matthew have both experienced. And we just want to encourage you, don't do it alone. Let us come in and help. Let us encourage you and support you and build you up so you don't have to do it alone. So happy 4th, everybody. So glad to be with you, Matthew. Thank you so much.